Okay, so we're gonna jump right in. My name's Adam Krass. I'm an assistive technology consultant. Tara is going to be our moderator today, and thank you, Tara. We're going to be talking about Eyegaze technology. It's going to be an overview of what Eyegaze technology is and the different products that are available, the different manufacturers and the different versions of Eyegaze. Um, And during the presentation, it looks like we're going to have a small enough group that if you have a question, you could add it to you can type your question to the chat, and Tara will attempt to answer it. If she is not sure, Tara, just break in and interrupt me. And um, chances are, if one of you has a question, it's probably something that is on other people's minds as well. So we're going to get right to it.
Sounds terrific. I'll be here.
Thank you. And I'm going to turn on captions. Okay. So again, the today's talk is Eyegaze Technology for You. It's hosted by Span Parent Advocacy Network, an excellent organization. If you're not familiar with them, you should get to know them. And today's presentation was funded by a grant from the Assistive Technology Advocacy Center of Disability Rights, New Jersey. So the link to the shared folder for today is right here. Tara, if you could be so kind as to put the link in the chat. If you click there, you'll get copies of today's Google Slides as well as a uh, resource list. The next assistive technology webinar I'm doing with SPAN is going to be on Tuesday, January 23rd, and it's going to be called AT Supports for Students with Hearing Impairments or Deafness. And it's going to be an overview of assistive technologies that help people with uh, different levels of hearing impairments. So please join us on Tuesday, January 23rd at 12 noon for a discussion of AT for people with hearing impairments. Looking forward to seeing all of you there. You can also access past recordings of AT webinars I've done with SPAN. They have a YouTube channel that has all the AT webinars that I've done with them over the past few years, and they're all there archived if you want to look at them at your leisure. So a little bit about myself. I am an assistive technology consultant. I provide services to children and adults with disabilities, including evaluations, training, ongoing support, webinars, and modifications, customization. I serve Northern and Central New Jersey and New York City in person, or anyone else via the wonders of Zoom or telephone or Google Meet, etc. And here's my website address. I also offer free 30-minute AT consultations for anyone with disability or family member or provider, teacher, etc. Those are all done remotely, so phone, Zoom, Meet, FaceTime, etc. If you want to set up the consultation, send me an email or give me a call and we'll schedule a time. And these tend to be really good for families who are just getting started in assistive technology, but could also be for someone who's, you know, familiar with the field and they're looking for something that they're maybe having difficulty finding, or they don't know the next step for their child or student. And I always like to start, lately I've been starting with the Mentimeter polls, just to give me a little bit idea of who you are. If you could go to this website address or scan this QR code and go to page 3 and just answer the question. I'd just like to find out a little bit about who you are. So scan the QR code or click the link and go to page 3. And as you answer the questions in the Mentimeter, I think we'll get to see the results on this page, and it's all anonymous. All anonymous. There we go. I got our first person responding. Thank you. Do you need if you need the QR code again or the link, I guess I should put that in the chat. Right, I'm going to do that. Put that in the chat.
Oh, it's in the chat.
Oh, it's in the chat. Okay, great. Thank you, Tara. Of course, you took care of that. All right, we've got one family member, one teacher, one IT person. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, great. Okay, thank you. So we got 3 family members, 2 teachers or related school professionals, and 1 IT person. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. We'll come back to the rest of the survey towards the end of today's presentation. So for those of you who are new to assistive technology, it's really important to be able to try things out to know if it's really going to be a good match or not, especially if it's something that's expensive. And I just want to give a shout out to the Assistive Technology Lending Center, which is hosted by Advancing Opportunities. And we have Kristen here from Advancing Opportunities. Thank you, Kristen. This is also funded by the ATAC um, group, and they have a ton of assistive technology. You can go right onto their website. You can do a search and look for assistive technologies. If they have something that you'd like to borrow, you can borrow it for free. They send it to you free of charge, and they give you a return label free of charge. You can keep it. I think about 4 weeks, I think is the lending term. And it's an excellent resource. If you're outside of New Jersey, every state in the US has an assistive technology lending center. And if you don't know where yours is, send me an email and I'll find out for you. And there's actually some Eyegaze technology that's at the Assistive Technology Lending Center, which we'll talk about later on. So if you actually want to try it, you can borrow it. And a little bit about what assistive technology is. It's really 2 things. It hits the devices or the technologies, the software, the apps, and it's the services. It's important to have both. Just having the technology without the services and the training and the support is not enough. And of course, if you have the services and you don't have the devices, that's not going to work either. So you really need to have both. And both of these are listed specifically in IDEA. So if you're getting something through a school, um, the school is also supposed to be thinking about the services. It's not just things. And here is the actual part from uh, IDEA, section 300.5, and it talks about the definition of assistive technology. And the important thing is that assistive technology is used to increase, maintain, or improve functional capability of a child with a disability. You might think that this is a broad definition, and you would be correct. The good news is that you don't have to pass a test or complete any kind of a standardized assessment in order to qualify for assistive technology. It's a little bit more of a prescriptive model, um, similar to a doctor prescribing a medication that he or she thinks is going to work for you, and you try it out and you find out if it does. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. I hope I didn't sneeze in your ear. Um, Getting over a cold, so I may be coughing a little bit here and there. And here's the full definition of the assistive technology services. So if you ever really need to get verse and chapter about what is in IDEA in terms of what schools are supposed to or can provide, it's all here. And assistive technology is important for lots of reasons. Here are 5 good ones. It supports the least restrictive environment for learning. It supports greater participation with peers. It helps students gain access to the general education curriculum. It supports independence, and it helps students learn and reach their educational goals. Now, FYI, there's no lower age or upper age limit. There's no limit on what kinds of disabilities qualify or don't qualify for assistive technology. If a child has an IEP or a 504 plan, they automatically are qualified to be considered for assistive technology. And families can request assistive technology evaluations. It's best to do it in writing, just like you could request a psychological evaluation or an educational evaluation. The SET framework is an excellent process for matching assistive technology to a student. And the beauty of the SET framework is you always start with the student. You don't start with the technology. So you define the student's needs, challenges, interests. You define the environment, define the task. And then when you've done 1, 2, and 3, you're ready to start looking at technologies that match the first 3 aspects. Okay, so what is Eyegaze technology? Whoops, let's back up. So Eyegaze technology works with infrared light that's bounced off of your eye, and then a camera measures the angle of the reflected light. And with that angle, when it knows the angle, it can figure out what you're looking at on the screen. So for those of you who took trigonometry a million years ago and you don't know what it was used for, well, here's a classic example of using trigonometry to solve the math equation of where you're looking at based on the reflection of your eye. And here's a little bit bigger diagram. If you need, if you're kind of into the wonkiness of it. So typically you're going to have an LED infrared light source that bounces through your eye, and then you have a camera that measures the angle of that reflected light. And if you want to really get into it, there's quite a bit of detail here. And I just want to show you a short video that talks about what Eyegaze technology is.
Living Centre, WA. Eyegaze technology is a method that students with complex physical needs might use to access a computer or communication device.
This emerging technology can break down barriers to access to communication and learning for some students who find it difficult to point or manipulate learning materials. Electronic eye gaze technology works via a specialised camera which provides light to illuminate the eye. This causes visible reflections on the eyes, which are picked up by the camera. The system performs a series of calculations to determine where the person is looking on the screen. This can be used to move a mouse cursor or make selections.
Hi, how are you?
Eyegaze may be used as an access method for a range of tasks, including access to games and other leisure activities, communication,
I like this. Fun.
accessing learning and curriculum materials, to control a wider range of computer functions, or to control compatible equipment in the environment.
Okay, so I just want to pause it there, and the video is there for you to see the rest of it. Um, but that was a little quick overview of what eye gaze technology is and what it can be used for. Um, but the question I haven't answered yet is, and that's what we're getting to next, is who is eye gaze best for? Now I have to admit that eye gaze is not inexpensive. It's among the most expensive types of access technology for people with physical disabilities. So typically when you're looking at eye gaze, it's because you've tried the less expensive access technologies first, like single switch scanning, or other kinds of switch scanning, head pointing, different types of alternate mice or different alternate keyboards or alternate way to access a touch screen. And eye gaze is uh, can be a very efficient way for someone with significant physical disability to access technology. So it's best for those with very limited hand or head movement and speech. So that's why you're going to see a lot of people with speech disabilities and significant physical disabilities uh, tend to gravitate towards eye gaze technology because if it works for you, it can be very efficient, very fast, relatively easy, and really just requires eye movement. So if you are have difficulty moving your head or moving any other part of your body, you can do it 100% with just your eyes. Now, in my experience, it's not the best for those with some ability to move their upper or lower extremities, head, or if they can speak. And the reason is using those other methods just might be faster and easier. I found that students with multiple disabilities who can use their hands a little bit, even if their dexterity is a little bit off or maybe not perfectly accurate, they would prefer to use their hands to touch a touchscreen than to use eye gaze. It's the way that we're wired as human beings. So it's really important to make sure that people that are being considered for eye gaze have an opportunity to really try it out because they're pricey and you want to make sure you're making a good decision. Because eye gaze is the most expensive, it's best to try other access options first. So switches, alternate mice, voice recognition or voice control, different kinds of styluses, head pointers, etc. So I don't want to, beat a dead horse, but it's really important not to jump to eye gaze technology just because it's cool, and it is cool, but it could be significantly more expensive. So make sure you're trying your other technologies first, do your due diligence, and try those first. And if they all fail, or you could do a comparison between, let's say, single switch scanning and eye gaze and see which is easier for the individual. And this would typically happen in an assistive technology or an augmented communication evaluation. Now, the two main types of eye gaze technology are dark eye and light eye systems. And it used to be up until a few years ago that you had to pick one or the other. And the main difference is that um, the way that the camera works and the way that the light is reflected. Um, Now, I believe that the new Tobii I series devices, as of the last maybe 2 years, I could be wrong, actually combine dark and light eye systems in one unit, and they switch back and forth depending on which one is optimal, which has a lot to do with your ambient light. So, like if you're in bright sunlight, eye gaze might not work that well because the sun is shining in your eyes, and that's going to interrupt the reflection of the infrared light coming from the device, um, or in a very bright room. So the fact that the Tobii can switch between light and dark eye systems, I think is an added advantage. I'm sure there's going to be other systems that are doing that as well. I just don't know. So if anyone does know if, let's say, Pranky Romic is using both systems, please let me know. What do I have here? Uh, okay. Oh, so here's a whole article about dark and bright pupil tracking. So for anyone who's interested in learning more about the science behind the differences, this article goes a little bit more into detail between the two types of systems. And it comes in iGaze comes in a number of formats. The most common, I think, is the integrated, where the hardware is built in to the device, and this is typically found in a dedicated AAC device. Dedicated means it's a specially built computer that's designed by um, a company that provides augmented communication or communication technology. So it's like a specially made computer. Typically, the eye gaze is built into the lower part of the device. It could also be a package system where you're getting the eye gaze camera and a tablet computer and the brackets and holding it all together, coming in together as one package. The next configuration type is the add-on, where you add the eye gaze hardware to an existing computer, whether it's a desktop computer, a laptop computer, or a tablet PC, as well as iPads. Those are the four main platforms for add-on eye gaze technologies. And I would say the most commonly used of this is the Tobii. Um, I believe they call it the PCI now, and it's really you just plug it into the USB port and you use a special magnetic strip to put it in place, and you have some hardware and you've turned your laptop computer into an eye gaze device. It's also becoming popular in the gaming world for obvious reasons, and we'll talk about those a little bit later. Now, this configuration tends to be a lot less expensive than the integrated systems. The integrated systems are anywhere from 4,000 up to $15,000, whereas your add-on systems are generally under $2,000 and sometimes significantly less than that. The other configuration are apps. So these are apps that utilize the existing hardware of a device. For instance, there's iPad and iPhone apps that use and Android apps that use the built-in camera of the device to do their eye gaze to do the to provide the eye gaze control function. Some of these I think are better than others. I think we still have a little ways to go before these built-in apps approach the quality of the either the integrated or the add-on eye gaze systems. But they keep getting better. They keep getting better. I think we're kind of at the level now where we're getting good head control through integrated cameras, getting a little bit of eye gaze through integrated cameras, but it's not at the same level yet. But I'm sure that'll change soon. And we also have low tech. Don't forget low tech. I still use low tech eye gaze frames a lot. And sometimes this is a really good way to find out if someone, is good with eye gaze or comfortable doing it or if they like it. These have been around forever. I mean, forever. But it's very simple, and a lot of the skills that you use with eye gaze frames would carry over um, to a digital eye gaze system. Um, I've worked with some speech therapists who prefer to start with a low-tech eye gaze frame just to see if someone might be a good candidate for trying a high-tech eye gaze system. Because you do need, you need that visual stamina to be able to look at something and look at something accurately, over an extended period of time, and to be able to hold your gaze on something. Those are all important sub skills for eye gaze. So don't forget about the low tech stuff. All right, so let's go into a couple examples, and these are grouped by manufacturer. Um, the first company we're going to talk about is Tobii. And I'd have to say that that's the company that I'm most familiar with. They've been doing eye gaze for a long time. It's kind of interesting how they got started in the field, and that is the original inventors of Tobii eye gaze systems, as were many of the early systems. They were designed for psychologists doing experiments on what people look at, how long do they look at things, if they're presented with a picture, what parts of the picture are they going to look at and in what order, and doing things like that. The next group to kind of get excited about eye gaze systems were people who do um, create advertisements because they wanted to see, well, if I'm showing this advertisement of this family drinking Cokes, Coca-Cola, what is the user looking at? Are they looking at the Coke? Are they looking at the tree? Are they looking at the dog running around? Um, and with an eye gaze system, they could find out exactly what people were looking at, how long they were looking at it, whether they would return to look at something again and again so that they could design effective advertisements. And the third group to kind of realize that eye gaze was a cool technology was the world of assistive technology. Um, and there have been there's a long history of using eye gaze in the assistive technology world, but it wasn't until about um, maybe about 15, maybe a little bit longer. Within the last 20 years, there's been commercialized eye gaze technology, and Tobii was one of the first companies to bring it to a semi-affordable level to the assistive technology world, at least to the point where insurance would pay for it. This is an older version of the i13, and it's basically a custom built computer with a touch screen. The eye gaze technology is in here. It's infrared lights and cameras. Um, It's a little bit heavier than a laptop, and they give you long-lasting batteries, so you can run all day, and a little bit better speakers than a laptop. But the latest version is slightly smaller, slightly lighter, and slightly thinner. But it's basically a Windows computer inside with special software and obviously special hardware. Um, so Toby has the I series, which is kind of the top of the line integrated devices. They have the TD Pilot, which is based on an iPad Pro. We'll talk about that a little bit later. The PCI is the add-on system, and that's about $1,200. The Eye Tracker 5 is the version that they've designed for the gaming world, and you'll see it's pretty inexpensive, about $250. Pranky Romic is another manufacturer of augmented communication devices, and they've made also a big commitment to eye gaze technology. Their eye gaze is called the Look Eye Module, and they have it included on their Accent 1000-30 or the Accent 1400-30. So a lot of their higher end communication devices come with the option to add eye gaze. And I haven't personally had a lot of experience using the Pranky eye gaze systems, but I hear that they work well. If anyone has more experience using them and that you want to jump in and tell us about it, just turn your mic on and feel free to jump in.
Adam, I don't have personal experience with it, but I do know a gentleman that I have known for several years who uses the eye gaze technology for his everyday life. And it is an incredible device that has allowed him to do everything that everyone else does to communicate, including surfing the internet, using Facebook and other social media websites, and writing papers and completing university.
Well, thank you, Tara. I'm really glad you brought that up because that's one of the great things about these integrated devices. Not only are they communication devices, but they're also computers. So you can go on the internet, surf the internet, you could do email, you could do texting, you can control a phone. You can also control your environment. A lot of them have built-in environmental control systems where you can control your lights, your heating and air conditioning, um, unlock or lock your front door, open and shut your shades. You could also program your device so that it will control, an Amazon device or other smart speaker. So that device becomes your access to your world. There are also uh, some eye gaze controls for power wheelchairs. So in fact, one of my students is trying that out now, so he could use his eyes to drive a power wheelchair around. So it's broadening to other areas, and for those who need it, it really becomes their gateway to doing, so many important things.
Adam, I've had some experience using the Pranky Romic PRC Saltillo eye tracking device, and it's a good system. It's reliable. It has a lot of advanced features to really tweak things. I like it a lot.
Great. Thank you, Karen. And Karen, I'm glad you brought that. I heard a very important word that you said, and that is reliable. And, you know, um, I it's cool to see something that, that's just been invented. Of course, we're all attracted to that. But in the world of technology, assistive technology, I really favor things that are going to work day after day
Mm.
because you don't want stuff breaking down. You want it to work, you want it to be reliable, and you want it to do what you got it to do. You don't want it always, to have lots of problems. So there's a lot to be said for mature technology or a company that has the ability to make sure that something is engineered in such a way that it's going to work
And
day
there's
in, day
also
out.
a lot to be said with when a device has technical support people behind it.
Yes.
So when something does go wrong, you can call and troubleshoot over the phone in many cases. So uh, I really prefer the Tobii Dynavox and the PRC Saltillo products for that reason, or specifically where eye tracking is concerned, because tech support is a phone call away.
Yeah, that is so important. I'm on a first name basis with Toby Tech Support, which I'm not sure is a good thing or a bad thing, but be that as it may, good tech support is extremely helpful, and in some cases it's indispensable, especially with more complicated technology like eye gaze. Um, the next company is called eyegaze.com, and their main product is called the Eyegaze Edge. The Eyegaze Edge is a really good product. It was always a PC tablet based device with an add-on camera and a special bracket to hold it all together. They were one of the first to use the dark eye system. Um, and they've also been around a long time. Reliable system. They have some nice software and also worth considering. And by the way, there's links on all these pages to get more information about those particular products. Another company that's been making a commitment to eye gaze technology is Neuronode. Neuronode is kind of an interesting company. They've come up with a package called the Neuronode Trilogy, and this is a combination of eye gaze and a very sensitive, muscle controlled, or I should say, it's almost like a, a neuron controlled, not neuron. Um, well, it is muscle control, but it's on such a fine level. It's extremely sensitive, and it can be fine tuned to match the level of muscle control an individual has. So you have that item on the left, which looks like a watch. Maybe I should just show you a picture. You know what they say about pictures. Do they have a video here? No. Okay. So you have the watch which you can wear on your arm or your wrist. Um, you have the eye gaze technology, and you have an iPad, and you're using your eyes to move the cursor around, and then you use the NeuroNode watch to select as you're selecting. So instead of selecting other ways, like with blinking or with dwell, you activate a muscle. And if you've never tried this, it's worth borrowing if you can borrow it and try it out for yourself because it's quite interesting, especially in the fact that you can fine tune the level of movement that you have to make to activate the NeuroNode watch. And this brings me back to a little thing that I skipped over is your eyes are moving the cursor around, but how do you click? How do you select things? Well, there's typically 3 or 4 ways of doing that. One is by just looking at something for a long enough period of time, which can be set. So let's say I have it set to half a second. If I stare at a button for a half a second, the the system's going to know that I want to select it and it will select it for me. Some systems can also be clicked by blinking. So it's looking at your eyes and it sees when you blink and it interprets that as clicking. Um, Then there's some systems where you could use a switch. So if you could activate a switch with another part of your body while you're keeping your eyes on the item, that could be your left click. The neuronode is a way to do that with activating a small muscle. Um, the So there's a variety of ways to do your clicking, and that's another part of the evaluation is to find out, well, what's the best way for you to select items once you've gotten the cursor in the right place. The next item is next company is Inclusive TLC, and they have their eye gaze systems called Skyle, and they have one for iPad and one for Windows. Um, I think I never got to try a Skyle, but I heard that there was some uneven results from the early models of the Skyle. I'm hoping that they've been able to make some improvements on it. If anyone has experience with an updated version of Skyle, please jump right in and let me know if how it's working. Anyone anyone tried a Skyle lately?
No,
Well, if
I
you
it.
okay, well, if anyone tries one and it looks like it's working pretty well, send me an email. Always like to keep up on what's going on with the Skyle.
Hey, Kristen, is there any way, do you guys have a Skyle by any chance to loan out? I know we've been trying to get one to trial with Inclusive for quite some time now, and they don't have any to trial.
Yeah, we haven't purchased this Skyle because of exactly what Adam said is like the mixed results and it's really expensive.
Right.
So we're hoping that that changes. The one that we do have that we can loan is the PCI that's not built into a device, the PCI
Okay.
5.
Thank you, Kristen. Yeah, I
Oh,
was literally on my knees begging, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, we don't have any loaner devices." So I'm not sure if I cut someone off if you were about to say something.
I was just going to say, this is Kristen again. We are looking to add another eye gaze, especially a standalone eye gaze, to the Technology Lending Center. So, like, we're definitely open to input on things that would be helpful for people to try in the eye gaze field. So keep us posted if there is something.
I mean, Kristen, I would say that I think a lot of people have access to Toby's, but I don't think as many people have access to PRC's eye gaze systems. Um,
Yeah, generally in the Technology Lending Center, and Karen, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we generally don't have dedicated devices just
okay.
because of the huge expense. But I believe you could generally contact the rep from the company to try
Okay.
those out.
Uh-huh.
But technology changes so long and there's only so much money to purchase equipment. So we we generally don't spend it all on dedicated devices, which are super expensive.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, many times if we're doing in augmentative communication evaluation where we have to consider eye gaze, it would involve getting a trial through the manufacturer. In most cases with the funding, you need to do a trial anyway in order to be able to justify purchase of a system.
Mm-hmm.
And even if that weren't the case, we still want people to try it out to make sure it's really going to help them.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Thank you, Karen. All right, here's an app called Hawkeye, and I've been playing with it a little bit. It is an eye gaze control app. Um, and I've tried it a couple times. I wasn't able. I was able to get started with it, but I had a little trouble with calibrating it. It's there's a free version. It seems pretty cool. It uses the built-in camera of your iPhone. So if anyone wants to try Hawkeye and is able to get it working, let me know how it worked for you. Um, it seems like it could be promising. Sometimes I have difficulty with eye gaze systems because my eyelids are kind of droopy, but if you have eyes that are a little more open than mine, maybe it'll work better for you. So Hawkeye is one worth trying. Uh, Low Tech, the iTalk, made by enabling devices, I'm sorry. Very low tech, but oldie but a goodie. And here's some other applications. iHarp, which is kind of a cool program. In fact, I'm going to try it with one of my students who's using a Toby. It's a musical instrument program that works with any kind of a Toby eye tracker, whether it's a dedicated device or an add-on device. They have free software, and I just want to show you a quick video of someone playing the song yesterday using iHarp. Kind of cool. So in the middle, you can see the image of the person's eyes, and they're looking at the different sections on the outside to play the chord. I was almost thinking of singing along, but this stage in the game, getting over a cold, it would probably sound like a frog. Anyway, the other app that I recently was looking at is Athena Eye Control app, and this is a limited purpose app that will scroll reading material as you read it. So that's all it does. It just scrolls your article if you're reading it on an iPad or an iPhone. And I'm just going to show you a quick video of this. It's kind of a cool application. So as you're reading, the camera looks at your eye and it figures out how fast you're reading, and then it will scroll the text for you, hands-free, as you're reading. It'll try to match the speed that you're reading it at. Um, so this is a cool function. It's nice if you want to read articles and you need help with the scrolling. Um, and I tried it on my phone and it worked pretty well. A couple of times I had to kind of start over at the top for it to track my eyes again, but it did a pretty good job. And it's free, and you just open it up, you link it to the um, Safari app, and then it opens up the article in another window and gets rid of all the ads and stuff. So it's a nice reading app, worthwhile trying, I think. Okay, so as promised, here are some more two systems that Advancing Opportunities has available. One is the PCI Go, and the other is the Tobii Eye Tracker 4. So if you go to their website and You can find that device is right here. You can go to the website and take a look at it. And then if you want to borrow it, you can. And again, here's the link for the other item, the PCI Tracker 4C. This is a USB device that you can plug into the USB port of a Windows laptop computer. Sorry, it doesn't work with Macs. In addition to the Eyegaze technology resources, there's a resource list in the shared folder that has assistive technology for lots of other categories. That's also there for your information. All right, we're drawing towards the end of our presentation tonight. If you wouldn't mind going back to the Menti poll and complete pages 4, 5, and 6, it should just take a minute, but your responses would be so greatly appreciated. So click the link or scan the QR code and go back to the Menti poll, pages 4, 5, and 6, if you could just fill those out now, and then we'll come back in a minute. Oh, many of you already did it. Thank you. Page 4, page 5, and page 6. So if you could fill out those couple pages, 3 pages, 4, 5, and 6, and then come back to the presentation, it'd be greatly appreciated.